Okay, so I think we're live. Good afternoon. I see that we have people coming along, and I see that I am on YouTube, so everything should be working. And I see more and more eyeballs, so that's really cool. So yeah, welcome to this live webinar. Good afternoon, everybody. I am super happy to super happy to see more and more women interested in the topic of learning how to build with AI. I think it's really cool that we're just going beyond the usual way of using ChatGPT or other LLMs with like drafting your email, I don't know, coming up with a post, but actually really taking next step and learning how to really utilize AI, helping with coding, building businesses, building sites, whatever. So welcome everybody. And just maybe before we start, because last time we had this webinar too, and I noticed that some of you wanted to contribute and post a question or maybe a comment, but you have to be logged into YouTube. So you're right now watching me on YouTube, and you have to make sure that you're logged in so you can actually leave a comment or a question. So you can just do it right now. You can then refresh this site, and then you'll still be in the live webinar, but you'll be logged in. So you'll be able to contribute in the live chat if you want. But if you feel like I don't want to do it right now, that's totally fine. Then just make sure you send me a question afterwards, and I'll come back to you. So cool. Let's get started. And I obviously want to introduce myself because I'm aware that a lot of you are new, and some of you have been following me already, so thank you very much. But for those of you that are new here, my name is Marta, and I'm a founder actually of Ladies Build with AI. And the reason why I've done it and for whom I've actually found it is because I've been through this journey myself, where I have experience in being a digital project manager or an e-commerce manager. So I have some affinity with tech. I've worked with people in tech industry with development teams, but I've never really coded anything myself. And I don't have any tech skills, any coding skills. But there was a time where I wanted to switch to a different career, and I actually used AI for that. And I was pretty amazed by how much of AI, how much of a good code it could generate and what sort of things it could build for me. So I self-taught myself, like I taught myself how to use AI and how to code and build things that I wanted to build. And I thought, well, if I could do it, then why not other people? It's actually not that difficult. And I feel with women, we really need to, give that spark of confidence, inspire, show examples that it's possible, because we do need more diversity. So I've created Ladies Build with AI to organize sessions like this, but also organize courses, whatever profiles of people, whether those are complete beginners or maybe you are already working as a product manager, maybe you have a team where you're building something, maybe you're thinking about starting your own business, or you are already a founder, then this is a really good space for you. It's great that you're here today, because that's exactly what we will be teaching, like really hands-on stuff, building stuff with AI. So really beginning with a mission, right? Like we need more women. We want to empower also women so that they're not only using AI as consumers. So what I've just mentioned, like the basic emails or, create me a post outline or a strategy for my LinkedIn, but actually be a creator and really try to take the next step and do some serious stuff with AI. So I also want to make sure that not only those sessions, but you actually really get something tangible. So Ladies Build with AI provide training. So whether it's a very basic level, you just want to have something simple, just build something for yourself, or maybe for a small business that you're running, or more of a deep dive. So let's say you're more advanced, you have some affinity, or even maybe have coding skills and you really want to go into more full stack development. Those are the courses you should check out on ladiesbuildwithai.com. And I'm not going to share any certificates at the end. It's just a very practical, hands-on, very tangible course where you're kind of like in a hackathon. You get together, you come with your idea, and then for 3 days, so it's 3 evenings, we're just building some real stuff. So you might think of your website, of your blog, maybe you have an idea for an app, or maybe you just want to build like a full-on software product, and that's exactly what you're going to get at the end. So even this week, we're starting a deep dive session with some of the attendees, and at the end of this week, they'll have something working fully in production. I think that's very, very cool. So building this supportive community around this, it's also really nice to showcase your stuff and actually say that you've done something with AI already. And I'm so happy with the positive feedback. It's really amazing. Thank you so much also from the last webinar. There were a lot of positive notes, a lot of comments, messages. I really, really appreciate that. And it just goes to show that we really need more kind of initiatives like that. We need to support each other. And I'm so happy to see that there's so much of response. So really looking forward to do even more of that. So yeah, we need more female founders. And I'm just going to keep on repeating this every webinar because we need also more diverse perspectives. There's a lot of innovation happening. The intelligence just constantly being improved. And we also need more perspectives in creating those innovations. And I've added another stat in this webinar because I came across this study from Harvard Business Review, where they actually mentioned that women are not only using less of AI in general at a workplace, but they're also using AI in a different way than male do. And they're saying, at least their conclusions, just for different purposes, that might be actually putting them at a disadvantage. So if you actually want to read this study, let me know, because there is a paywall article actually I have a downloaded version of it. So if you just want to read it and inform yourself around that topic, let me know and I'll send it to you. And obviously looking then at, how is the VC funding space at this moment? It's not looking that great for female founders only. There's a very, very low percentage of companies. So in this year, it was not even 1% of women-only founded companies that received any funding at all. And it's actually the lowest one, the lowest percentage since they've been measuring the level of investment for females and males. So it's not a really positive statistic. I know in Europe it's a little bit higher, but we're talking about 2% maybe. I think that's something what I've seen recently. So not very motivating statistics, I would say, but that's why we just need more builders, and we also need more female founders to hopefully get more funding as well and accelerate your businesses. And just to tell you, I don't feel we're in this phase anymore where people are ashamed to admit that they do something with AI. And what I actually see on startup scene, there's a lot of content on the Y Combinator on their YouTube channel. It's more of a Silicon Valley vibe, let's say, but that's where everything happens. And you can see that actually all of those founders and startup founders, they're actually pretty proud to say that almost everything is created by AI these days. And we're going into this era where we'll have less and less people in a startup as well. So even in their investment batches, so that was the batch for winter 2025, a quarter of the companies that are there that are submitted for kind of like an incubator program and also getting funding, a quarter of those companies have almost everything, the entire generated by AI. So you can think about the level, let's say, but also thinking you don't need to be super, super technical these days to get access to funding, to build your apps, to build your businesses, and to really accelerate. So just want to remove kind of that stigma. And we're changing from this kind of feeling like, oh, I don't want to say I did this with ChatGPT, to actually right now people saying like, yeah, everything is now built with ChatGPT. So, and people are getting smarter with our automations as well. So just bear this in mind. Okay, so the summer's still here, and there has been a lot in the news about new launches, a lot of different features being added, but also acquisitions, investments, research, a lot of different events too. So you might think like summer, it's kind of we're slowing down, but actually there has been a lot recently posted and launched from different providers, different companies. And it's mainly because OpenAI was really hyping the release of ChatGPT 5. So we all kind of knew that at some point, GPT-5 model will come, like probably at the end of this year. That's why a lot of other competitors and tools and systems providers, they were also kind of in this rush to launch something. So you know that there was a lot in the news recently, and maybe if you haven't, that's totally fine. But like the major takeaway I want to give you is start really at least like follow the headlines, and maybe follow also the biggest AI companies on your socials, because you will start notice that, at least my impression is, every single launch of a new model from an LLM right now kind of feels a little bit like, it's like a new iPhone coming up from Apple. So just for your information, OpenAI has released ChatGPT 5. So it's their fifth model, let's say, in that way, that like big model. They launched it last Friday, and it kind of looked like it was like this cool iPhone, let's say, coming up again with like a lot of live streams and videos and a lot of content from influencers around it. And I feel like we will get into this phase right now where we'll probably have those launches like every single month or maybe even a week. So like, with an iPhone, you need to wait for a year, and in the software world, it's happening really fast. So just start like familiarizing yourself with everything. And if you now open ChatGPT, you probably have something like this. So your interface should look something similar to this, and it's because they've introduced ChatGPT 5 to all of the users. So let's say you're not paying for any subscription with OpenAI, then you still have access to ChatGPT 5. So like before, you used to, let's say in the top left corner, you would see there's a little drop down menu, and you could usually switch between different models. I know with paid subscription, they have that. Kind of making people use GPT-5. I mean, something that you can read also that the model is like more aware of the previous tasks, that it also remembers your conversations, your projects, so you don't always have to like repeat and start over, that it has a bigger context, it's more context aware, so it should be also more intelligent, fast, right? So it can also generate whatever you ask faster, and that it hallucinates less because it's been more trained on factual data. I know they were really proud of saying that they've been training GPT-5, especially on healthcare. So a lot of people are coming these days with questions, with videos and images of whatever they're experiencing, and they're asking for symptoms, they're asking for possible solutions or causes. So actually using LLM to kind of like your doctor in a way to come with symptoms and solutions. So they've been training GPT-5 for those reasons, just to make sure that people actually get valuable information that is also not hallucinating that much. But it still does hallucinate, but they say that it's less. So I'm curious, like, not sure if you've been using it before. I mean, it's just live for like 3 days. Or if you look in the news, if you look in social media, like people are saying that is pretty powerful. Them say that you have to also prompt, if you just type like think harder, that it's really going to provide better outcomes. But some of them are also saying that it's just a really hyped launch, some small improvements here and there. And that what I also think, they're kind of ensuring that people that are coding with AI, they really do get a better service, let's say, they have better outputs, but it's not really generating better copies. It's not really like designed with mind, like for like the regular users, let's say. So they're not really seeing any improvement on that end. So I'm curious what you think about it. It's always really kind of interesting and also a learning curve for all of us to, let's say, the prompts that you've been doing before and stuff that you've been kind of experimenting with AI to compare the before and after launch to see if there are actually any different responses and different information generated. So yeah, just curious how this will develop. But for sure, this is something for you to be aware that those things will be also popping more and more, and it will be more important. So if you want to stay relevant in those conversations, and you don't have all the ins and outs, but at least kind of familiarize yourself and experiment, because things also impact our lives, if we want it or not. So yeah, enough of the news. I really want to get into the vibe coding content. I'm not sure who has seen anything about vibe coding, or maybe some of you have already done vibe coding before. The thing is that generating your draft emails, but they're actually now becoming really, really good, excellent, I would sometimes say, at generating code, generating UI designs, and then building fully functioning products, apps, websites, you name it. Also automating particular workflows because they're now able to combine different systems together and let them talk to each other. So let's say you would see this interface where you put in your prompt and you would say, build me a website where users can RSVP for an event and ensure that there's a name in the email field and show a thank you message after submission. And it's just like giving commandos, right? So like you're kind of giving them instructions, and then you'll see the whole thing come to life. Generated code will be there, and you also get a preview of how it looks like. And it actually even allows you these days to just fully launch it, integrate it with other services. And there you go, you're already online. So I really encourage everybody to watch this video. So go to YouTube, just type in software in the era of AI, or even just type in Andrej Karpathy, because it's one of the members, like the co-founder of OpenAI. And he has actually started vibe coding some time ago, a few months ago, actually, this year. And he is really talking about like where all of those things are going. And you don't have to be super technical to understand his talk, but he's really talking about just kind of the big picture of where software development is going, but also just in general, like how we're going to use AI, like you use electricity these days, for example. And it's really, I would say it's really a must watch too, because as him being one of the key figures in the AI world, he definitely has a lot of experience and different opinions, and it's good to follow him in general. And he said this, and just look at the date of this tweet, January 24th, 2023. So 2.5 years ago, where he actually said that the new programming language will be English. So we will be coding with just our own natural language. And that's exactly where we are at this point. So everybody can be a programmer these days. It's just democratized so much. And it's very empowering too. Cool. I will show you a couple of examples of vibe-coded products or apps or websites. And I'll also walk you through a kind of a demo of something that I also recently built myself, or with a friend of mine, let's see, together. But two examples first, because they're really cool. I'll start with the one on the right side. So the right-hand side, there's an app. It's called Peak Money app. And the reason why I'm sharing this is like your personal finance, but in a cool way, really nice content. Sometimes some of the insights from your personal finances are made in an Instagram story, for example, or really nice charts that are very kind of easy to follow. And you also get very good insights on your spending habits, for example, or where is it that you can maybe spend less or invest more. And I'm sharing this app because it was vibe coded totally. Like the founder of this app, she has been experimenting with AI. She's never been coding stuff herself. And she just built that with Cursor, actually, one of the big vibe coding tools as well. And yes, of course, at some point she had a team to help her out, but the very first versions of those apps were totally vibe coded. She started getting subscriptions from customers, so she has now a lot of paying customers. This app is also on the App Store, and she's also getting like thousands of dollars for funding this. So can you imagine that you are going to Cursor, Lovable, or even like ChatGPT or Claude? You have an idea, or maybe you have some kind of personal frustration that you want to solve. And then let's take a year from here, and you have your own business. You start hiring people that are helping you out to scale this thing. And it's just because you've started with prompting and coding. It's kind of inspiring to really, maybe start a side hustle, or just try. You never really know where it will take you. And then the second, so the one actually on the left-hand side, I want to show you this one because with vibe coding, there's a lot about like, programming and apps and all the difficult stuff that you might think if you're not technical. But this is actually a really cool application of how you can use AI to build something for like personal reasons. Like, for example, create your own storybook. Or maybe you have kids and they're learning how to read, or maybe you want to read them a night story. And I'll show you this one. It's from Gemini. Just 1 second, I'll stop this one. And I'll show you another screen. Just 1 second. 1 sec. Yeah, so there you go. So just go to gemini.google.com/storybook. You should see the interface in a second. 1 sec. There you go. There's a little yeah, it's there. Sorry. Just takes a couple of seconds to show up on the screen. So it looks like this. It's still in experiment mode. So, you never know where you'll end up with AI, right? But it's a kind of like a pre-trained LLM from Google, from DeepMind, just on creating storybooks. And there are also a couple of prompts already. So you can just click on the prompt and, it will generate a storybook for you. But I actually tried to take it a step further because I was already very inspired to try it for myself. And I have a use case as well because I have little children. And what I did, and I actually want to show that because I thought it was a pretty cool result. So here is, I uploaded a drawing of my 6-year-old. And this is the prompt, so super simple. I mean, I can't make it like more, I don't think I can like write it simpler than this. And I just asked to create a storybook for my 6-year-old so that he can also start to learn how to read. And if you just look at like the end result, I'm actually pretty happy with this. I wouldn't put my name on it because I didn't actually write it or create it, but it's also a really nice UI, to be honest, because like you have like those sliders, so it kind of has like this reading experience, let's say, if you have an e-reader. It also allows you to listen to the book, so it also becomes an audiobook, and you can also print it. So if you really want to make a book out of it, you can just print it. You get a really nice zip file. You can still like tweak it if you want. You can add some crazy characters, whatever you want. But I have to say, because in general, I'm not really a fan of Gemini myself. Like, I don't know what your experience is. I saw that a lot of programmers are really happy with Gemini 2.5 Pro. I haven't found it very like fast, and the answers that I get sometimes are not as good as, for example, Claude. But this one, so the one that I used for Storybook, that was just, for this particular use case, I actually found it really good in terms of output too. So I'm actually quite happy with what was generated. Right. So going back to the webinar again. There you go. We're back. Sorry, a couple of clicks here and there, but we're back. Cool. So you might think, why would I have to vibe code, right? Like, still not convinced. Why do I need to do it? Well, there are a couple of examples why you could, just try at least vibe coding. For example, let's say you want to build a particular prototype, or maybe you have an idea for something, or you just have like something on your mind or in your Miro, or maybe you have it just written down on a piece of paper, and it's a really nice way to put it really on something that's like in front of you, that's looking. And it doesn't only save time in terms of building it, it's very fast. Like, you don't need the full development team to build it for you. It saves money for sure. And you can also get very creative without like constantly briefing people all over the place. So in just even a couple of minutes, you can very like nicely working prototype. And I actually see this more and more with UX researchers and UX designers these days. When they have a particular concept for a feature, or they just want to experiment, and instead of putting stuff on A/B testing, they actually vibe code prototypes, and they just like put it on socials, for example, or they put it on Reddit. So really like this opening or building an open building in public. That's how they use vibe coding. So even with teams, you can do that too. You don't need to like do it on your own. And then the next one is very kind of similar to my use cases that I actually used vibe coding to teach myself how to code. So I wanted to really understand how the code was generated. I wanted to know what sort of actions were happening, what was kind of behind the scenes. And in that way, I also learned just step by step, because every time, whatever I was prompting, I was always asking, please like explain it to like a 5-year-old, just step by step what I have to do. Of course, you break stuff. Maybe documentation is not always up to date, but at least I thought that I had like this very experienced AI co-pilot, next to me, and I had a very clear like vision and instructions and use cases, and also domain knowledge. And then AI was kind of like the operational colleague, and from that colleague, I was also learning how those things were being built, and I saw this happening in front of me. So that's definitely a really good way to teach yourself how to code. And then the next one, I would say like next level, actually, it's just why not build real products and build real businesses, right? So a lot of startups right now are doing that already. There's a lot of like funding available, for females, maybe not so much yet, but I also don't see a lot of those vibe coders and vibe coded startups. Don't really see a lot of females there yet. So that's for you also a good way to try. If you have a really good area of expertise, a particular maybe niche that you want to target, just try vibe coding and see if you can actually make a business out of that. Or at least get to the stage, to that like 85%. And that's already further than the zero, right? The starting point. So why not? Cool. So let's go maybe with a case study, because I can talk and talk and talk, but actually let's get to something very practical. Recently I had an example from a friend of mine. She actually had her own website, and I also want to show this as a case study today, because last time I showed an app that I built for myself, but I thought probably many of you have your own website, or maybe you have a blog, or you're a coach or a consultant, or maybe even run a website for a small business. I was actually thinking that this is probably more relevant to a bigger audience than building your own app. So in this case, she actually had something on WordPress, so very, very traditional way of building websites. Also had like different plugins, paid plugins, free plugins, whatever. She had a contract with her hosting provider, and then it just it was not updated, so her whole site was down. I don't think she even had backups of her content. She couldn't access her WordPress account anymore. It was just one big mess. And even just me listening to that story, I just felt like, oh my God, you're in like such a different world. And let me show you actually, why don't you just build your own website again, but then with vibe coding, like just try it. Because I also don't feel like the whole kind of WordPress way, with a lot of different systems around it and upgrading stuff and all the hassle with contracts, I don't feel like this is really the future anymore. So we actually play around with Lovable, just very kind of low key, just as an experiment. I recovered her content from Wayback Machine because it was just a very simple one pager. So there, she didn't update it very often, so there was still content out there. And we just prompted in Lovable. I'll show you in a second. And like, I wouldn't joke, it was maybe a 10-minute work, just a very like scruffy kind of first version. So like, content wasn't updated, just a very simple version. We got something very cool up and running, and she was really amazed with what it could come up with. And of course, later on, we were like tweaking the colors, because the first thing you'll probably always see is like the logo is not right, or maybe you want a different font. And we were tweaking constantly to get to the to the right place. But then still, it took us, I would say, maybe like an hour to come to where we are. We had this conversation with, well, do we want to go back to WordPress, or do we actually want to launch it in Lovable? And I told her, Lovable is kind of like a way of, like, it's a new CMS, I would say. Because yes, you're used to fixed templates, so it will take you lots of time to find a particular template, or you would have like only a number of fields, like those fixed fields that you could fill into. So we're kind of used in that way of very, very kind of stable, but also limiting in a way environment to put in your information to build your own website. And anything beyond that, anything that you want to customize, there's always like, oh, you just actually need a developer or an agency to do this, right? So there isn't a lot of freedom if you're a solo entrepreneur, or you're working in a small business. Whilst all those vibe coding tools, I would say, and Lovable as well, this is just a new way how you're entering information. And it's kind of your new CMS, because it's still doing the same work. It's also previewing stuff. It also allows you to publish stuff, just like any other CMS has. But it's just the way you enter information is different. So you're prompting, you're telling, just like you would, your thinking process will be in your head, and finding those plugins and updating them and adding those widgets and pages and everything. Like, this is all now done with prompts. So what sort of tool stack that we had? We're very simple. Again, we worked in Lovable. So adding very clear instructions, adding the content, and very, very basic stuff, like anchor linking, for example. And then we added also a database, because that's the thing. Let's say you want to have a blog, and then you have different articles, or maybe a login feature. And after login, you want people to still be able to access the data or the information that they had, rather than they would refresh the page, they would log in, and then everything is gone. That's because you need a database. So we added Superbase, a database provider for just storing her data, and just learning from mistakes, making sure that whatever happens in the future, she'll still have some backups. So she'll be able to recover it. And also for, let's say, any other kind of AI cool features or capabilities in the future that she will she would love to add, she can use a database for this as well. And then this third point, because the question was like, okay, I have already a working domain, like what do I do with it? Do I need to build a new one, or can I just hook it up to the existing one? There are two ways. So let's say you've been coding in, or prompting actually, in Lovable. You either upgrade to the Pro subscription. So it allows you with the Pro subscription to do many, many different things. But there's also a feature where you add the custom domain. So you're staying within Lovable. So you will hook up your existing domain within Lovable. It will also be your hosting provider at this point. It will also create your SSL certificate, your DNS settings, and everything that you have will be within Lovable if you have the Pro version. But let's say you want to kind of go a different route and maybe you don't want to pay to Lovable. There's also a different way. It takes more time, but it's also cheaper. Because what you can do is you can stay in Lovable, get the code, you can copy the code or export it. So I'll show you in a second what actually the interface, how it looks like. And then create your GitHub. Or maybe if you're a little bit more advanced, you've seen coding terminals before. So let's say you're using like VS Code as a coding terminal, then you just paste that code in there. So being very cheap. And if it's synced with GitHub, you can then sync it also with Vercel. Vercel, that's where your hosting is. That's where you can also add your domain for free. You can deploy it. So if you publish your website, you will deploy it with Vercel. And your custom domain, so the one that you've just bought or the one that you may be happy for, it's already in Vercel. And all the content that you and code that you've generated with Lovable, it's within your terminal or your GitHub. And then it's being pushed through Vercel to the internet, essentially. So there are two ways, but as complicated as it can sound, it's actually super, super easy compared to what it used to be before. And the thing is that you're gaining a lot of knowledge about your own site, which is really, it's really cool. So we've been using Lovable. Maybe some of you are familiar with this interface. If you go to lovable.dev, create an account, and just start giving an outline of what you want to build, and it will start generating a preview of whatever that you've asked. There are also a lot of different features within it, and I'll show you this in a second. So just add Lovable for now. Let's see. This one, loads of tabs, maybe very familiar to you. So I actually didn't use a lot of prompts in it because we just did it very scruffy, very quickly. So added all the content, and then it was just showing me the whole thought process. It was showing me everything that was doing. And yeah, we were tweaking it once in a while. What I would also advise is don't put everything in one prompt, just kind of do it step by step. But we were just doing this very quickly. So generally, I wouldn't advise to put everything in one prompt. Yeah, and I mean, as simple as it is, you get a preview. You can also preview it in different devices, so whatever you want. And then there are a couple of things that are behind the subscription. So let's say you want to, by the way, this is the code that you see. So all the site structure, everything is in there, all the files that you don't need to worry about that because you keep on prompting and it will just regenerate code itself. But let's say you let's say, I don't know, let's go to components. Maybe you have a different email address or whatever, and then you just want to change it. You can see I can't change that stuff here. It's because I have a free account on this one. So if you want to edit this code yourself, those basic stuff, you will save on credits for sure because you will just change it in the code. So that's a good way to save some credit on Lovable, but you still need the paid, so the Pro subscription to do that. Or you'll just keep on prompting and it will change according to whatever instructions you had. And you have a couple of other features. So the database that I was telling you, the GitHub that I was telling you, everything is in here. Again, same thing. You can also just ask in a prompt, like, can you hook it up with a database in Supabase? Can you hook it up with GitHub? It will also do that, but those are just like the things you can click on. And then you have the published version. So whether showing it as a preview site or the basic one, basic domain, it's obviously one of the Lovable domains. But again, if you would be adding a custom domain, that will be your place where you have to do that. And obviously with like so many things changing in AI, a lot of new features are being added every single time. So probably there will be something very different soon, like new features will be popping up as well. So that was Lovable for now. And just showing a quick summary of how it used to be the traditional way. And so let's say if we were sticking to WordPress, we had a new hosting provider, and then the AI native way, how I call it, how it is with vibe coded apps. You would have a lot of things that you have to kind of add as or like pay as an add-on, right? So you would probably have a really nice theme that you want to buy, maybe some extra plugins that you want to add to your CMS. So this already costs money. In Lovable, as you could see, it didn't really cost anything. Of course, if you want to have a subscription with Lovable, it costs you $25 a month. So that's a cost, but you can also just turn to Claude, for example. You can go to ChatGPT even to generate code, and then you don't need to pay the subscription with Lovable because other LLMs will do that for you. You'll just have to like constantly switch between systems, but that's fine. The whole hosting thing, right? So hosting will be either in Lovable, just like I showed you before, or if you go to Vercel, you don't pay anything there. Storage as well, because Supabase allows you to have, I think it's 2 projects that you can have for free. So let's say 2 websites or 2 products that you can have for free. So it wouldn't cost you anything. Depending obviously on what sort of data you have. If you have a lot, then you have to pay. The cost of the domain is still the same, right? We still need to buy our own domains. But other things like SSL certificates, so keeping your site secure, those things are also like in Vercel are actually within also Lovable if you have a pro subscription. And all other things, to be honest, it's just faster. It's just less complicated. There are kind of like less systems involved, less people involved in the process, but also it's just like swifter. It's like cheaper as well too. If you see the kind of comparison before and after, you see huge difference. And it's, very much tailored to your own use case. If you have something more complex, then it's a different story. But you can see that like the barriers to entry to just build your own site to be fully, like at least, I don't know, 90% in control of your own business online, the barriers have gone down. And so did the cost. And to me, it's actually what's more interesting. It's the last row, so the knowledge gain, because when we were going through this process of this website, like, yeah, of course, I knew it's going to like take out all the hassle. It will completely like save her a lot of money, and she will not have to wait for weeks to build this in WordPress. But to me, what was more interesting was the fact that she started to understand the basic concepts of software development, which was really cool. Because usually if you would be staying in WordPress, you will be just updating the fields, the text, the imagery, wait like minutes for something to be uploaded, previewing constantly. So your level of knowledge kind of stays the same. But with this one, like you learn how to prompt better. You maybe try different AI tools. You start to integrate stuff. Maybe you even play around with APIs. You also start understanding the pricing models behind all of those new tools. And the level of knowledge that she gained in that period of time was just not to compare with the traditional way. And to me, that was like the biggest unlock, to see that, like the whole democratization of software is really also empowering the underdogs, the ones that were thinking that this is not for me. And now she has a better way to enter and be more excited with those AI toolings. So now it's your turn. I've been talking a lot, and I love that, but still, I can imagine you can think, wow, there's been just so much. I still don't know where to start. Is this even for me? And I would say yes, of course. Like, just start. 3 simple steps. Just think about like what sort of simple coding workspace I can set for myself. Do you feel like you want to, just prompt, and that's totally fine? Or do you feel like you actually want to, or maybe understand the coding terminals, you want to play around with more advanced tools? Just kind of see also how much degree of control you want to give away. Because even for the example of the website, you can say, I'm just letting it all happen, and that's fine. Or you actually want to really understand the details behind every single action. So it's just for you, it's up to you, like how simple you want to make it for yourself, or also like other goals, like maybe really getting to teach yourself how to cope with this. And then whatever level you are, I think it's still good to just practice with prompts. You can follow all those amazing guides out there, but I still feel you learn best by doing. So just really learn how to write very clear instructions, because the thing is, even with the new model from ChatGPT, so the ChatGPT 5, it's not going to give you the best output if you're not like intentional, if you're not like clear enough, if you're not giving very clear steps or whatever outcome that you're after. Like, if you just say create a nice looking website, that's not going to give you maybe the result that you want to see. So just practice the second step. And then the third one is just really start with baby steps. You don't need to create a copy of Netflix as your vibe coding project. Maybe just first start with like what I shared, the storybook, or just your own blog, or whatever this is. But just really baby steps, because then you kind of get into the whole roller coaster of breaking stuff, not understanding how everything works, but then that's learning. And you have to just go through all those like emotions and the enthusiasm of fixing stuff or understanding stuff, and it's just all in it. It's not just the knowledge itself, but like the whole process around it. It's really important, and if you make it small for yourself as a start, then it's just easier. And again, if you feel really inspired and you feel like, yeah, I really like this today and I actually want to take it a step further, check out ladiesbuildwithai.com. I offer 2 levels of courses. So the one is basics, where in 6 hours, we just build something very simple together, like, for example, the website that I showed you. We do it together. I support. The idea is also that we have a community around it, so you can showcase this to others. But the goal is that within 3 days, you actually walk away with something that you've built yourself. It's live, and you can share it to, your team, your family, your friends, or maybe you have this job interview that you kind of want to say that you have some AI skills right now, and that's something to back it up. And then there's deep dive. So if you've maybe a little bit more advanced and you want to understand how to build something more serious, like a really fully working full stack application, maybe even want to have a business that's generating income, so you have some kind of payment provider hooked up to it, that's your course. So check it out. We actually start one tomorrow, so I'm really excited to see by the end of the week what sort of cool apps we're going to have live. And for the rest, thank you so much for attending this webinar. I hope it was useful for you guys, or ladies, and that you have some nice takeaways for you to just set off and try build with AI yourself. And this is now a section where we have a Q&A, so I'm just going to check if there are any comments. And if there are any questions, I will also highlight them so I can answer to everybody. But just feel free to use this time right now to ask your question. And if there's nothing, then I'll stop at some point. That's also fine. And you are also happy, like super happy always to answer questions, whether it's on LinkedIn or you have an email. Thank you. So I actually get some comments already. Thank you so much, Kudruta. Nice to see you here too. By the way, you can also submit questions if you feel there's a particular topic that interests you around AI, obviously, that I can then highlight with the next webinar. So I had some questions about automation, the new automation agents, MCP. I think I'm actually going to create one next time about vibe marketing. So what sort of marketing flows we can automate. And I'll show you how you those no-code, low-code tools, or you probably heard about N8N or Gumloop or Make.com. And then I'll also show you how to do it really in a coding terminal, maybe with Cloud Code. I'm actually a fan of the second one, so I'll probably display this one. But if you have a question for or inputs for next time, then just let me know. Okay, so we actually have a question in the meantime. So what are your thoughts on Replit and Base 44? I'm not sure I know Base 44, but I do know Replit. Again, it's just another tool, and they are investing new valuation. So they're definitely pumping a lot of money into new stuff. And Replit is also really good to create sites. It's also good to automate stuff. So it's just a preference, right? So I haven't been doing much with Replit. I'm more of a kind of Cloud Code and also Lovable. But again, any tool out there. And it's also a matter this week, a particular tool is really strong in something, and next week maybe another one launches something different, right? So it's all really changing. But one thing also about Replit, but that's a different thing. On founders notes, the co-founder of Replit, he is very active on socials. He's kind of like the new rock star of AI, let's say, and he's really posting a lot everywhere. But I didn't know that I think it's his wife or partner, she's also a co-founder of Replit. So pretty powerful woman, but she doesn't really get that much exposure. So just to say, follow her also on LinkedIn. It's really cool to see that ladies are also in charge of those big systems and big tools, but then they don't always get that much exposure, not really in the spotlight. So that's something I've learned just recently, but that's totally not answering your question. Cool. So I don't get any questions so far besides this one. So thank you for that question. Again, thank you so much for listening. I will also share this recording on YouTube. So follow LinkedIn page, Ladies Build with AI, for any kind of other tips or even those small snippets of the webinar. And next time I'll see you probably in September. So thank you so much.